Black. How are you today? No, not awake yet. Oh.
Ladies only.
Morning, Chief. Morning, Miss Troy.
Are you rushing to get there before us and show us up?
Sorry, Chief.
You reading this?
No, what's that?
Get to know the people you're dealing with.
Thanks very much.
She said she got £10,000 for it.
She'd say anything.
How I feel, if the whole wing attacked her, I'd sit in the office.
Is there a feeling?
Not enough. In the old days, we'd have had to protect her for months now. They're more interested in her business deals than what she did to that child.
Business deals?
Well, that's what she calls them. Libel case she's got with that magazine. This lot.
Morning. Morning. Morning.
She's excelling herself today.
Give another word of warning to your staff, will you, before the women see it?
I will, madam. They haven't bothered much about it till now.
No. But they might when they read how she gagged him when he cried.
Well, thank goodness there's only another day of it. It can't get worse.
I can't believe that she actually took him and showed him how he was going to be drowned in the bath. That didn't come out in the trial?
No. She's too clever for that. That's what frightens the women. Her brains and her nerve.
Frightens them.
Well, makes them respect her. The way she arranged to have that published if she was sentenced. Hard-headed. They respect that.
She'd be long-necked if I had my way. Hanging's the answer to Aileen Crudley's sort.
I don't believe in hanging. It's not...
Not kind.
No. It's not civilised.
Better women than her have been hanged in this prison.
Yeah, well, I don't believe in it. In fact, I don't believe in any kind of physical punishment. I think it's bloody degrading.
It's all a matter of degree, isn't it?
No, it's not. A principle's a principle.
Now, what's wrong with you young ones? You haven't learnt that there's always a bit of compromise to life. Anyway, you're out of touch with reality. You ought to see the letters she gets. 9 out of 10 tell her she ought to be hanged. Or worse.
I'm down for special duty tomorrow afternoon.
Be sure you put on your best. The governor's seeing some students. You'll be making sure they're in the right place at the right time.
Why do I have to impress them especially?
Make them think it's a nice job we've got. Come on.
Elizabeth Bromborough, madam.
Was get up to see you this morning, though the doctor said we could have stayed in bed. Came down from Style yesterday to take our visits, didn't we, Lizzie? Like we do every year. She's very deaf, madam, but we won't wear a hearing aid.
Good morning, madam. Came up from Style in the motor yesterday, take my visits. Save 'em all the year round to take 'em at Stone Park. Saves my sister travelling. She's old, madam. I look forward to it. Lot of memories here, Stone Park. Hope you're not going to change it much more, madam. Had a lot of nice times here. Oh, I know we did what we did and we got to be punished. No good making prison too soft. Too many coming in then. Not enough room for the regulars.
I'm hoping that the regulars won't need to come here one day, Elizabeth.
I have a request to make, madam. Would you come when it's ready to see my cell? When I got me curtains up and me china up and me pictures up. I got a new one of the Queen and a new mat.
Yes, of course I'll come.
I'm going to make it look very nice. All the governors come to see my cell. Some of them used to bring the untidy ones to see it as an example. Thank you, madam. Good day to you. Day to you too, mate.
Morning, Lizzie.
Pity that she won't wear a hearing aid, matron.
We've tried to persuade her for years, here and at Style. Everybody she likes best. But no, she says she isn't deaf.
Be nice to have been able to have had a chat with her.
You'll find she prefers to do the talking, and actually she lip reads quite well. Now, this is Molly Pepper. Oh, she's a youngster compared to Lizzie. Only done about 35 years inside so far.
Petty theft. Petty theft.
And a bit of prostitution when she was younger. Like Lizzie, not wicked, just persistent.
7 years preventive detention.
Yes, for stealing a pair of gloves worth less than £1, I remember.
Thank heavens they've started this new treatment for recidivists, training and guiding them for 6 months without prison. I don't think it's long enough, but at least it's a start.
Won't do much good for our old dears. Fact is, they like prison. They like us, and that cheers me up. We did ring this.
Molly Pepper. Come up from Style for me visits.
Yes, Molly, good morning. Sit down.
Good morning, Mum. I was only put in the hospital wing overnight as a cautionary measure because of the journey from Style. Doctor says there's nothing wrong with me. I can go on the prison and back to work. I'd like to do the chapel cleaning if it's possible, Mum, like I do every year.
Well, we've already got a chapel cleaner, Molly.
Yes, Yvonne. I got a message to her, and she says if you allow it, it's all right with her.
Does she?
Yes, well, everyone knows I like to do the chapel cleaning. Whatever prison I go to, it means a lot, like.
Well, I'll talk to Yvonne personally, Molly, but I can't promise anything, mind. I mean, we can't take people off jobs just because others fancy them. If she agrees, it will be exceptionally kind of her.
Thank you, madam. It's nice to see you looking the same as ever, Miss Parrish.
And you, Molly. I managed to finish the court reports earlier than I expected, madam. Would you like me to go round and taste the dinners for you?
Thank you, Miss Parrish, if you have the time. These assistant governors of mine are working all hours with the deputy away on leave. Still, it's good training for future governors.
I'll see the staff about Aileen's diary before we serve the dinners.
Oh, yes, good.
Disgusting business.
Oh, and Lady Towerby has rung up, asking if she can be Aileen's lady visitor.
Yes, I thought she might.
Naturally, so that she can go on TV every other night and tell everyone how she's reforming her.
Yes, but Aileen doesn't want a visitor.
I told her that, madam.
Fancy refusing. Not me, if I was cooped up in here. Rich Lady T bringing in bunches of hothouse flowers and telling the world what a lovely soul Aileen Crudley's got.
I'll take his time.
I'm sorry about that.
There.
Morning, girls.
What's about it?
Further along, please, Aileen. Another batch for Aileen, I see.
47 today. Well, there's one here, obviously meant for her, but it's not addressed to her by name. Shall I let her see it?
No, inadequately addressed. File it in our record. I want to see the staff to warn them about her diary. Have you read it this morning?
I have. There'll be 147 letters tomorrow. On Mrs. Spencer's laundry, Miss Black's gardening party and Miss Martin's on the landings. Shall I call her down?
No. I'll see them together before we serve the dinners. Don't issue the paper till then. There may be a reaction. The governor wants us to keep our eyes open.
So we can save her if she needs it.
That's the job, Miss Troy.
Yes. That's the job.
She will.
Oh, dear me.
Wet feet, eh? Splashes in it.
Enjoy that one?
They're all from neurotics. The ones that want me put in a gas chamber. And the ones that want me saved by Christ. All from freaks.
Perhaps you don't want to see any more.
I shall read them all. They're an insight into the human mind.
Don't you think you ought to see a psychiatrist?
It's funny how many people want me to see a psychiatrist. Do you get a commission for it?
Most people think you need one.
To tell me what? I had parents who were inferior to me. I know that. To tell me I wanted something better than factories and fish and chips. And pushed myself through night school, then worked till I was sick to become a private secretary to a company director who turned out to be a cheat, and a liar, and an ignoramus. I've always had more brains than the people who are supposed to give me orders. I don't need a psychiatrist to tell me I resent it.
So you took it out on a child?
I've nothing against the boy, though I despised his father. That's why he got rid of me, because he knew I looked down on him. I'd put through deals that made tens of thousands, while he was out in the afternoons bedding his women. I was entitled to what I demanded. I wouldn't have hurt the boy if his father had thought he was worth paying for. Just proves what a lout his father was.
Got one here, addressed to the woman who has no soul who murdered little Paul. Think that'll be you?
I'll take it.
The assistant governor says you can't, not properly addressed. Got one here that'll please you, from Lady Towerby.
She's got a nerve.
She'd make a good lady visitor for you. Plenty of publicity. You'll be able to see her every week on telly saying what a nice woman you are. She makes fortunes out of it.
If anybody's going to make a fortune out of me, it's me. I can just imagine what she'd say. I know, dear, how you must be feeling. I know under your brave exterior, your conscience must be torturing you within. Because you're a woman, with the same woman's feelings we all feel. No, I don't want her around me, thank you, bothering about me killing one child. When there's 150,000 children killed by their own mothers before they get out of the womb every year. People make millions every year out of abortion, and that's not illegal. What a dirty, rotten, two-faced setup, but I'm not playing along with the bloody, filthy system.
You mind your language.
The one I got rid of was his parents' fault. They should have paid up. Still, I've got 10,000 for my diary, so my effort's not wasted. And when I go out, I shall publish all these letters I'm getting. That'll be another 10,000.
Will you get out? Nobody will remember you, that's going to be so long. You'll be like old Lizzie Bromborough. Have you seen her? Came down from Style yesterday?
No.
Take a good look at her when you do. She's shriveled with old age. Looks 20 years older than she really is. That's what prison does for you.
officers as well as prisoners.
Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war. All Stone Park united, storming down the door. Onward, girls, together, don't forget your bags. Keep your thieving hands off other people's fags. Onward, girls, together, we will smite
Is it a revised version, Yvonne?
Oh, it's the ghost of Stone Park.
You can take your apron off. Molly's come to take over.
Oh, hello, Miss Black. I didn't see you. I was working so hard.
Oh, yes, I noticed. You just tell Molly what's left to be done.
I've only left one more thing for you to do, Molly love. Get the 30-rung ladge and clean the windows from the outside.
Oh, it's no bother, Miss Black. I don't need nobody to tell me what's got to be done, but I appreciate it, Yvonne. You're giving the chapel out and going in the laundry.
Time to get in there, pressing them men's pyjamas. To live again.
Pyjamas all for men. I don't know how you can think of them like that.
Oh, I can.
Yvonne, remember where you are.
Well, it has that effect on me, Miss Black. I have to make sure I keep my feet firmly on the ground, otherwise there's a danger of me turning into an angel.
I don't think you'll ever turn into one of those. Come on.
Just come round here. On the left, we have the administration corridor. The buildings there.
They must be the students.
Oh, one's a bit long in the tooth.
Don't be rude.
Yvonne,
Yvonne! Take no notice. That's all for your benefit.
give them something to write in their copybooks.
Come in.
Good afternoon, madam.
Afternoon, Miss Parrish. Sit down. How'd it go this morning?
Just routine, madam. Only there had to be 9 receptions last night, and it took me half lunchtime reckoning their release dates. I'm a bit out of practice, and one has to be accurate.
Well, we don't want them suing us for letting them out a day late, do we? Still, it was nice of you to rush back for this.
It's my fault you're seeing them, madam.
Oh, your eloquence. They've both written to say that it's something that you said that made them think of joining the service.
Have to be careful the next group I take round.
Well, they're still not sure, so I thought that a chat would help them.
Most governors I know would just send them the pamphlets.
I've done that too. How's Southwing?
A lot of black looks, nothing more. Like water off a duck's back with Aileen. She's still refusing to see the chaplain, by the way.
Has he tried again?
Oh, yes. But she says that he makes his living giving people bad consciences, and there's nothing wrong with hers.
Well, no one can help her till she's willing to be helped.
She won't see a psychiatrist because she wants to keep her sanity, she says.
Well, there are people who just don't want to be changed. I think we should respect that.
Yes, madam.
Trouble with Aileen Crudley is that if she genuinely doesn't feel remorse, doesn't change, when is she going to be let out and who's going to take the responsibility for it? She might quite easily do the same thing again.
It's funny that hasn't dawned on her yet. But it will. She's not silly. And then she'll be booking for psychiatrist, chaplain, lady visitor, the lot. And we shall have a transformation on our hands.
Yes, well, I don't think that we shall see it. As soon as this libel case is finished, she's bound to be transferred. Come in.
Madam.
Hello,
Parrish.
Mrs. Armitage.
They're both here, madam. There's Mrs. Swales, a widow with 2 married daughters.
Oh, yes, that's the one that you took round from the Open University group.
And Miss Jean Troopbridge, single, aged 22, an LSE student. Chalk and cheese. You're going to see them together, madam?
Yes, please, Chief.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, don't say you're going to go. What are you doing? Just on a
No, Miss Dracula after our virginal blood at 3 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon.
Donors will be given tea and biscuits, a cup of tea for a pint of blood. I want a bloody bottle of gin.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't try.
I'll have a go at this.
She's brave, isn't she? That's a good example.
I want mine to go to a judge. He has this accident, you see, and he has a pint of my blood.
And he kills him.
No, he gets better, and then he goes into CNA's and keeps pinching women's dresses like I did. Keeps shoving him off his jumper. And the poor chap gets nicked and he can't explain it. He gets 2 years like I did.
You have a go, Barbara. Then yours could go to Enoch. And he came out in black stripes all over.
And he gets turned on a peas and rice and reggae.
Oh,
God, I can just see him.
Oh, God. Somebody's going to get a pint of poison.
Who wants your blood in them, Crudley? Make 'em as rotten as you are. Move along, Crudley. It's a pretty nasty thing to say, Eunice.
It was a pretty nasty murder she did, Miss Troy.
I'm not here to discuss anybody's offences. You're all the same as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, haven't I, Miss Troy?
Come on now, girls. Either sign blood donors or get back to association. You know me, no favourites and no skivvies. That's how I've always been, and that's how I intend carrying on.
It'd be interesting to know what attracted you to the prison service, Mrs. Wales.
Well, seeing the job in action. I've read a lot, of course, but when Miss Parrish took us round, I really felt that my experience of life could help.
Oh, yes, how?
Well, bringing up 2 girls on my own since my husband died and getting them both married off to nice young men without having to. Well, I know something about young girls, and it amazed me to see how young some of them are here in prison, and all because of wrong upbringing.
Certainly most of them, yes.
Yes, well, I wouldn't take a job until mine were off my hands. I was always there when they came home. I gave them praise where it was due, but I told them plainly about their faults, too. I've never been frightened of telling them black from white, like a lot of parents are.
And you think that this will help with the prisoners?
Well, of course. It's the dignity of being human, knowing right from wrong and choosing right. Well, I taught my girls that the pleasure of living comes from being clean in both body and mind, and I'd like to do the same for women in trouble.
I liked the familiarity between the staff and the prisoners, the casualness. It impressed me.
Oh, not casualness, Miss Trowbridge, understanding. The relationship between the staff and the prisoners is based on respect, and that can't come from casualness.
No, indeed. It comes from an officer knowing the distance between herself and the prisoners. You can't help prisoners if they feel you're just one of them.
What other qualities would you say make a good officer, Chief?
Common sense, willingness to learn, and a nice way of saying please.
There are theories that people join the prison service because rather than submit to authority, they prefer to dish out the discipline themselves.
And what do you think about that?
I suppose it's true of some.
But you see, it's not just telling them what to do, it's getting them to do it. Now, you don't want bossy officers, and you don't want them too quiet either. It's just firmness and reason.
It's a very complex relationship.
Well, actually, I'm not only thinking about being an officer. As I have a degree, I thought I might apply for an assistant governor's post.
Well, there are 2 ways of doing that, Miss Trowbridge. You can either enter for the open competition that's held every year, or you can apply through the prison service by becoming an officer for a while. That's the way Miss Parrish did it. It's an advantage to have been an officer first.
Oh, it's an officer that I'd like to be. I wasn't sure whether I should finish my course. That's why I wrote. I'd like your opinion on that.
Well, we train officers within the service, Mrs. Wales, so we're looking for aptitude rather than qualifications. But that doesn't mean that what you're learning won't help, because of course it will.
Yes, but it's the practical work that I'd like to get down to. And talking to you this afternoon, it has helped me to make up my mind.
Well, I'm glad that we've been of some help. Of course, you do understand that we have not got the powers of the selection board.
Oh, yes, of course, and it's very kind of you to see us this afternoon and to explain it all. Thank you very much.
Well, if you do decide to apply, I wish you both the best of luck.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Well, let's have another cup of tea. It's a pity in a way that the selection isn't done in the prisons any longer.
It is. That Mrs. Swales wouldn't get past me.
Why not?
She's too set in her ideas.
But they're the right ideas. It is good experience bringing 2 daughters up decently. I mean, you have brought your daughter up properly. You're always saying that parents should be stricter with their families.
Well, I hope her daughters are all she says they are. I take her word they are. If she came here telling our clients to be clean in body and mind, she'd cause a riot.
Why is it that when we get a woman with high moral standards applying for a job, she gets turned down, and yet giggling girls by the dozen with no experience of life whatsoever get taken on?
I remember when you were taken on. Dances, parties. Reprimanded once for wearing your hat back to front just for the devil of it.
Well, maybe I was taken on too young.
No, not a bit. It's nice to have young officers about with some life in them. Not irresponsible, mind, but lively. We get it knocked out of us soon enough.
I suppose Cockshaw Miss Trowbridge would suit you.
Well, the more sure they seem, the less sure of themselves they are.
Don't you approve of the older women joining the service, Mrs. Armitage?
Oh, yes, I do. I'm not making myself very clear. Experience of life can be the greatest asset an officer has. But Mrs. Swales is too sure she's got all the right answers.
We were saying just before you came in that we should respect the prisoners who don't want to be changed. And I don't think that Mrs. Swales would understand that. Still, it's up to the selection board.
Don't get up, Lizzie. Just come to see how you are. Oh, rheumatics, that's all that's the matter. Carry on, that's the answer. Have a cup of tea, Miss Troy.
Can't, Lizzie. Not allowed. Thanks all the same.
Silly if you can't have a cup of tea with me for old time's sake. Well, sit on my bedspread. I've finished it, you see. It's lovely, Lizzie. Took me 4 years. Only you and the governor I'd let sit on it.
Thank you, Lizzie.
All right, Miss Troy?
Me? I'm all right. Same as ever.
Give me the old officers every time. It's 'cause of you, Miss Troy, that I'll die a virgin.
Not you.
You remember finding that letter on me from Harry Todd from Pentonville and the drawing he'd done on the back of him and me with no clothes on? One more day and there might have been a nice baby made there at Stone Park. It was all planned.
You must have been 60 at the time, at least.
I was working in the bathhouse and I'd made up my mind to block up the drains with my floor cloth and then Harry'd be brought in. He was always brought in for blockages. And then when his officer and mine was having their cup of tea, which they always did, him and me was going to make love in the bath. Then you found the letter on me. And Harry never came back to Stone Park and I lost 14 days remission. I don't think I could manage it in the bath today.
Lizzie, you don't get any better.
Oh, I'm too old for thinking that kind of thinking I am.
Ah, you're visiting too, Miss Troy?
Yes, madam.
What's the governor come to see my cell?
And very nice it is too. Very cosy. Oh, did you do this?
Lovely, lovely. Oh, my teddy bear. I left it with the nurse to show the matron. I did it for the sailor work. Oh, I would like to fetch it, madam. It'll only take me a few minutes.
Yes, of course, Elizabeth.
Well, sit on my cushion, madam. Thank you. Thank you, madam. Oh, Miss Troy, you have cheered me up. I feel ever so much better.
Yes, you've made me feel better too, Lizzie.
Haven't you been feeling very well lately, Miss Troy?
I'm all right, madam. Nothing wrong with me. It's just that the old prisoners somehow seem a lot more decent than some of the new ones.
Are you having difficulty with anyone in particular?
Oh, no, madam, no difficulty. It's just seeing Lizzie. She's finished, really. All her life in and out, and every bit added up, she's not stolen more than £400 worth, and she's never raised a finger to harm anybody. Then there's Aileen Crudley. Out in a few years, I suppose. Hard to see how it can be right.
Yes, well, nobody knows at present how long she'll be in. A lot depends on her.
And public opinion.
Yes. I suppose Molly Pepper's one of your old clients.
Yes, madam.
Strange how attached they become to Stone Park. It's been a hard prison in their time. Yet Molly's already looking 10 years younger. I passed her just now in the chapel, and there she was, singing away and scrubbing all the polish off the floor.
Scrubbing all the polish off the floor?
Yes, she said that it had become greasy and that she wanted to wash it down again. Oh, she was very enthusiastic.
She's never been noted for looking for work or singing at it.
Well, she was just now.
All things bright and beautiful, oh, creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful. The Lord God made them all.
That's you, then. Off 28th March, coming back 2nd of April.
It seems silly asking about Easter so early, but everybody got in before me last year, and I was on duty during the whole holiday. So I thought I would
haven't had Easter or Christmas off for the last 6 years.
Oh, well, in that case, I'll stand down. I didn't realise. I'll do Easter for
No,
you.
thank you. Your dinner's in the hot plate. Afraid it'll be a bit dried up.
Lawyers are more important than dinners.
Is this the last time you'll be seeing him, Crudley?
Oh, no. This is very complicated libel. One thing I've been meaning to mention. My name is Mrs. Crudley, if you don't mind.
I speak to you exactly as I speak to the rest.
The governor calls me Mrs. Crudley.
Go and get your dinner.
I haven't the time. I'm due to see the education officer about books for my BA. I only came back to put these safe.
So it's a BA. Fat chance I had to study for a BA.
I'm not surprised.
Did you say something?
I said I'm not surprised you didn't have a chance of studying for a BA.
That's right. I didn't commit a murder. And I wasn't sent to prison to be kept for £50 a week at the taxpayer's expense.
Ah, but if the officers didn't keep asking for wage rises, it wouldn't cost the taxpayer that much.
If the wages were 100 times as much, they wouldn't be worth having to live with your sort.
Why do it then?
Because, thank God, all prisoners aren't your sort, Crudley.
My name is Mrs. Crudley.
Mrs. Nothing. You've never been married in your life, small wonder.
Nor have you, small wonder.
Shall I get the exercise in now, Miss
I
Troy?
didn't have a chance to study because I went to work when I was 14 to help out because we were poor. I'm not ashamed of that.
No, my family was poor and I was ashamed of it. In fact, I was disgusted by it.
Go and see the education officer.
You know what our parents were, Miss Troy? Morons.
Aileen.
All right, my parents. I got started off at work at 14, same as her. My mummy and daddy put me in a factory sewing negligees that sold for 3 months of my wages. And they were proud of themselves instead of vomiting at it. They got no envy. Nice people. No ambition.
You'll be late for your appointment.
They didn't want me to be better than they were. That's why they hate me now. Because I've got more out of life than they have.
God help your poor parents.
And yours. They'd have been better off taking to a life of crime.
You watch what you're saying.
And so would you. Next time you go out, kidnap a toddler, hold it to ransom, and if they won't pay it, just take it and... Thank you, Miss Troy.
Go and put your papers away.
I'd like to make an application to see the governor, please.
You do that in the mornings, not in the afternoons, as you very well know.
Very well, Mrs. Spencer.
Shall I get the exercise in now, Miss Troy? It's 5 minutes overdue.
I must be mad.
You're run down. And she'd rile anybody. Look what she said.
Doesn't matter what they do. She held that child under the water for 10 minutes. And then she went and sat down and wrote that it was no different to drowning a kitten. And yet if we raise a finger to them, Me in the papers now. Me in the dock.
Not in the dock.
Same thing. Inquiry. Dismissed the service. "18 years pension gone."
We'll be called as witnesses.
Charcoal. For the stomach. Fried sweaty feet. Can I have two, please?
No, you can't.
You can have mine. Thanks for chocolate bunny. But you get it and I'll take it off.
Too much
baby. Naughty, I'll have yours if you don't want it.
Oh, no, you can't.
Shall we something, and I'll sit down with that.
Shove it down.
Well, that smells nice. Thank heavens that we don't have to taste the breakfasts and teas as well as the dinners. Otherwise, we'd never keep our figures.
Madam, may I have a word, please? Yes, of course. It's about Molly Pepper. I've just been to fetch her for her tea and she's not in the chapel. I've searched the chaplain's room and the back staircase and I can't find her.
Oh, she was certainly there an hour ago. I spoke to her myself.
She can't have gone far. She wouldn't have tried to escape.
Be no point, anyway. She's always back inside a week.
Well, perhaps she's ill or fallen down somewhere. Take another good look round. Take Miss Martin with you. Yes, Mrs. Armitage, have a look in the chapel. All I know is she sounded cheerful enough this afternoon.
Madam. There's 5 applications and Molly Pepper's report.
Oh, heavens. She well enough this morning, then?
Well, Dr. Mays rang to say it's not just the hair of the dog she needs, it's the entire coat. Apart from that, she's fit for all punishments.
There was I, chatting away with her, thinking she was elated to be back in Stone Park, and all the time she was as full as a boot.
One doesn't expect to find a bar in the prison chapel, madam.
What's it to be, then? 14 days loss of pay to help pay for it and taken off the chapel cleaning?
Be a bargain for her. She'll be famous for this for the rest of her life. Pick up more fags for telling the tale than she'd lose an whole year's pay. Oh, prison! Heard her singing Knees Up Mother Brown on the way to the hospital.
The chaplain's very cut up about it. He said there were at least 2 full bottles.
Well, if you'd locked the cupboard properly, it never have happened. Do you know the first thing she said when I woke her up? There was a mouse in the cupboard, so I got in to catch it, and a bottle fell off the shelf onto my head and knocked me out.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, I expect that'll be the tale she'll tell you this morning, madam.
Oh, I'm beginning to dread it. I'm afraid I'll never keep a straight face.
That's the worst of this job. You can't laugh when you want to. You can't cry when you want to either.
An advantage that the prisoners have over the staff. Well, let's see if the applications quieten us down a bit. I see that Aileen Crudley is the first.
Yes, madam. Aileen Crudley.
Good morning, Aileen.
Good morning, madam. I've come to report that I was assaulted yesterday afternoon by Miss Troy. On South Wing, while the other women were on exercise, she slapped me across the face, hard. And this was witnessed by Mrs. Spencer and Miss Martin. My written statement, madam.
This is a very serious allegation, Aileen.
Very serious, madam. I'm glad you think so.
What I mean is, you put yourself in a serious position by making such allegations. You know that it is an offence to make a false allegation against an officer?
I've even heard of prisoners losing remission for making false accusations which turned out to be true, madam.
I must make it quite clear that the onus of proof lies with you. Miss Troy is innocent until proved otherwise, unless you can prove what you allege. You may be charged with making a false or malicious statement.
I'm fully aware of that.
Very well. You may go back to your work for prison.
As a lifer, she can't lose remission, and she knows it. She stands to lose next to nothing.
Have you heard anything of this?
Not a word. Of course, I know Miss Troy can't stand the woman. And who can?
I'd better see Miss Troy in my office after Molly Pepper's report.
I said there must be good reasons for that. Miss Troy replied that the reason was she had never committed a murder. And after some further conversation, she slapped my face so hard that it stunned me for several minutes.
It's a lie.
Mrs. Spencer and Miss Martin were both in the office at the time and were witnesses to the incident. You've no need to say anything at this juncture, Miss Troy. It's just to let you know before the inquiry exactly what the position is.
I want to say, madam, that she's out to get me because she hates me. That's not one-sided. I can't stand her either.
Sit down, Miss Troy, if you'd like to.
Thank you. I know that's wrong and very stupid for somebody with my experience, but her callousness, I let it get me. I did say that I hadn't been able to study like her because I hadn't committed a murder. Then she said I ought to kidnap a child and hold it to ransom. And if the parents didn't pay up, she said, I ought to kill it. I was angry.
Yes.
I've given years to looking after prisoners. My life's not much better than theirs, mixing with them all day, off duty, alone in my room. But I've never taken it out of prisoners. A lot of them make the job worth it. And whatever they've done, it's never bothered me. Well, not before her. I tried to control it. I did try.
I think you're a little run down, Miss Troy. Perhaps a change of wing or maybe some leave.
Oh, not a leave. Well, there's nowhere for me to visit since my mother died. I don't go away. I stay in digs.
Have you no relations at all?
Yes, a sister in New Zealand.
No one else?
No. But I did have. Well, I could have had. Oh, I don't mean a man. As a baby, I let go. The man didn't matter.
I didn't know.
Nobody was meant to.
Perhaps you shouldn't be telling me this now.
It doesn't matter now. It's legal these days. Nobody cares these days. I had it done because I was ashamed. Oh, God, if I'd known then what I know now. And I was frightened I'd lose my job. So I paid £20. Been 14 by now. Nice to have about. So I've got no relations. And I'm stuck here in this prison with my conscience. That's the difference between me and Crudley. Conscience. And I've paid.
No, madam. Really, I've never seen a drop. No, what happened was, madam, I was doing my cleaning and singing my hymns, and my broom handle hit the knob on the cupboard door, sent it flying. And the door swung open and the knob hit the bottle inside the cupboard. And the cork flew out, and I was so surprised, madam. I opened my mouth and the wine squirted up in the air and came straight down my throat, madam. Really, madam, it was an accident. And then, when they carted her off to hospital, you could hear knees up by the brow.
What's going on here?
Oh, I've got my job back as chapel cleaner this afternoon, Miss Martin, so I was practising.
See.
On my chin. Like a bit of a broom handle, isn't it? Hey?
Have you anything you'd like to say, Mrs. Crudley?
No, madam.
Now, Mrs. Spencer and Miss Martin, you were present at the time. Is it true that this rather heated conversation took place?
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam.
And is it true, as Mrs. Crudley alleges, that Miss Troy then struck her?
I saw nothing, madam.
Miss Martin?
Nor did I, madam. There's not a word that Miss Troy, Mrs. Spencer and Miss Martin are saying that can be relied on.
They've all agreed with you about the substance of the conversation, but they differ from you only in one respect, and that is that Miss Troy slapped your face. Miss Troy denies it, and neither Mrs. Spencer nor Miss Martin witnessed it. I find that your allegation, therefore, is not substantiated.
God. Justice.
The procedure now is that I shall make a report of this inquiry to the establishment officer, and it'll be decided whether you are to be charged or not. Thank you, Miss Troy. You may take Mrs. Crudley back to her work.
I'll say one thing. Your staff have got more sense than I credited them with. And so have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Parrish. I suppose she'll have to be charged.
Yes, madam.
Otherwise, it might look as if we didn't believe the officers.
That wouldn't do, madam.
No. Miss Troy's the worry. We're so geared up to helping the prisoners that we forget that the staff have got their problems too. There's not enough welfare for the staff. It's not fair to think that they should always be able to cope.
What Miss Troy needs is a good leave. I don't just mean the ordinary one. That wouldn't do her any good. I mean the 6 months that we're all entitled to apply for. She could go and visit her sister in New Zealand. She's had letters galore inviting her.
I'm beginning to think that 6 months' leave every 5 years would benefit everybody on the staff, and compulsory, not voluntary.
And paid. That's why hardly anybody ever takes this leave. It's not paid. You have to work it off at the end of your service before you can get your pension. Perhaps Miss Troy might get a taste for New Zealand, if she could be persuaded to go.
I'll speak to her.
Lizzie? Just come to say goodbye. I've got this book out of the library, so you'll be able to find out where I'm going.
Oh, I shall miss you, Miss Troy.
Goodbye, Miss Troy. Good luck.